Hello everyone, welcome to the QuesterMage and welcome back to another No Man's Sky video. Over the weekend I played the No Man's Sky 4.2 Interceptor update. The update is now available and I've been trying it out since last week, so here are my first impressions on the update for the Nintendo Switch. I'm going to go through a quick recap of what the update does, what I liked, what I disliked, and close with an overall thoughts so far for this hybrid system. Please do bear in mind that this video is based on the 4.2.0 update, and knowing my luck, the new patch will be out as soon as I upload this video. So sit back, relax, click like, subscribe, and hopefully enjoy. Here we go. So what did this update add to the game? Well, essentially this update added or changed planets in the game to contain special sentinels, including sentinel freighters and resources for the player to combat and collect. The goal for the player is to eventually be rewarded with a new salvage/sentinel multi-tools, backpack and interceptor ship. There are also new abandoned encampments for the player to find in their travels on these new worlds. Please do note that to find these new planets, they will only be available if you're within a dissonant system. So when you're going through the galaxy map, please look for this. So how does this update overall change the experience? Well, first, let's go through the things that I liked. The use of the galaxy map. I now find myself very carefully looking at the galaxy map to find dissonant systems, which is a nice change, as before I only looked at the galaxy map's info to find affluent systems. I definitely like the galaxy map being used more in these updates. Hopefully Hello Games continues to update this feature to include more information in future updates. Ship variation, with apparently hundreds of variations. My favorite new feature in this game. Finding ships that actually are different. When you find a new salvage ship, you will see several differences straight away. We have the usual class and statistics, but the aesthetic changes are excellent. From the animation of the cockpit being different, the liftoff animation, and the more obvious, the ship wings and central cockpit being completely differentiated from other ships. For me, No Man's Sky is about finding and seeing new things, and these ships definitely deliver on that. Of course, I have not seen them all, but so far I've seen about 5. 3 of them kinda similar but distinct in their own way, which is good, but others are very, very different. This new feature on its own would definitely keep my interest going forward. Going to new worlds to find ships that I haven't seen before, and hopefully one of these will be an S class, as I've only found C or B classes so far. That to me is the kind of stuff I like doing in No Man's Sky. New multi-tools and backpack. There are 2 new multi-tools in the game. Obviously, there are different classes, so C, B, A, and S, and 1 new backpack. They are very different to the other ones that are in the game pre the update. The new multi-tools do seem quite powerful, which is needed as the Sentinel worlds are quite tough when it comes to combat. I also like that we got a new backpack, which is not part of an expedition. This is a nice change and hopefully one that we see more of, as on the Nintendo Switch, we don't have access to the older expeditions where there were backpacks as a reward. A quick side note here, it is a shame that you cannot change the parts of the backpack. Also, the wings, although cool, are really huge. Abandoned encampments. It's always nice to get a different type of building. One thing to bear in mind is on the Nintendo Switch, we don't have settlements so far, so it is nice to have this feature that adds more buildings to these types of worlds. Hopefully this feature will be expanded on in future updates. Maybe more abandoned sentinel buildings, like the abandoned freighters, just on planet surfaces. Now that would be nice. Dungeon-like planets. Overall, the biggest takeaway for me is the feeling of having, well, purpose when warping to a dissonant system. As soon as I warp into a new system, I scan the planets, find the sentinel one, go to the space station, save, and then try to get a new ship in a multi-stage process on a whole new planet. This definitely is a step in the right direction to give users like me more to do. Now moving on to some of the things that I disliked. 3 quick points straight away. Me personally, I've had 2 crashes so far, but I have heard of people that have had much worse and much more often. I also had a infinite load sequence, so I was warping from one system to another and the load just never ended. I was easily there for about 5-ish minutes and then I thought, oh, this isn't going anywhere, so I just turned it off and it worked absolutely fine once the game reloaded, and it loaded in about 20 seconds after. The Sentinel aggro always resets to level 1 when leaving the atmosphere. So this is something that I found as I was trying to get the Sentinel freighter to pop in. To do that, you have to get to the aggro level 5 for the Sentinels. I was at level 4. I think I just got to level 5, and then as soon as I left the atmosphere, it will reset to level 1, which was a little bit annoying. I don't know if that was like that before, obviously not with the Sentinel freighters, but the aggro level going from 5 to 1, was that there before? Just doesn't seem right. The frame rate. Okay, it's a little rough at times on these new planets, especially when you're fighting against the Sentinel ships in the atmosphere. For me, it's never horrible, but definitely noticeable. The purple hue of the planet disappears when you land. I don't know if this is meant to be like this, but it seems like the purple hue or the tint is meant to stay when you land on one of these new planets. And so far, I think maybe only one planet has been purple after I've landed, and the other ones were just their normal color. Is that supposed to be like that? I'm not too sure. It seems like that's not supposed to be like that. It would make more sense, at least for me in my mind, if it stayed purple. It's a minor thing, but it's something that I did notice. Oh yeah, finding dissonant resonators. The most annoying thing so far for me was spending 2+ hours, and that's I think being nice, searching for a dissonance resonator to get an inverted mirror, and I couldn't find one at all. So I just assumed that none popped in the actual area I was exploring. So I'd fly into space, find another random spot on the planet, land, search, not find anything, and then repeat that for a few hours. It was pretty frustrating because I didn't know whether the game wasn't loading them in or if I just wasn't finding them. Eventually, I thought, this isn't right, and left the planet, found another dissonance system, went to it, and once I landed, immediately in my vicinity was a dissonance resonator. Now, I don't know if I was just unlucky, but I don't think it should take hours to find one of these new machines, as you need their item drops to get some of the stuff in this update. So bear that in mind. If you are playing the update and you haven't found any dissonant resonators, you might want to go to another Sentinel planet. No story being added. No real story introduction or motivation for the player to find and seek these new worlds. Don't get me wrong, I really like this update. It's one of my favorite ones so far, but I do feel like adding a narrative to give the player a reason to go and find these new worlds would make this update a more impactful one story-wise for the player. For example, in a few updates time, if a new consumer buys the game, they're not going to know that this update even exists. So there's a good chance that they won't even know these planets are in the game. I think adding a story element when the player encounters their first dissonance system might be a good way to go. This will make me much more intrigued, which would have potentially a bigger sense of satisfaction when finding these. So overall, is the new update fun? In short, absolutely yes. Even though there are things that I disliked about this update, they are quite small in the grand scheme of things when I compare them to things that I liked. This update has made me play the game like I used to at the beginning, flying around slowly to see if I can find a new specific building or spaceship, land, try to scan all the fauna, and then repeat. To others, this might sound boring, but for me, this is one of my favorite pastimes in No Man's Sky. Having ships as potential rewards is great for this gameplay style. The ship variation, I think, might be a sign of what's to come from Hello Games in the future. It seems like they are testing the idea of procedural ships on a much larger scale. If this is their eventual goal, then I think this update is brilliant. Even if not, just the use of it in this update I think is already brilliant. The 2 new multi-tools and backpacks are nice. The abandoned encampments seem like an early tease of an idea which I hope turns into something bigger in the future. Maybe unlocking more types of Sentinel techs or armor. That would be nice. I think it's absolutely great that we kind of have planet-sized dungeons. I think that idea is awesome. For me, this update definitely brings a massive amount of satisfaction when finding all the new rewards. It definitely takes longer to find things, but when the process of finding a new encampment, multi-tool, or ship takes a little bit longer, it also increases the sense of achievement when finding any of these. But unfortunately, that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you very much again for watching. If you like what I do here, please click that like button down below. And if you want to see more, please click that subscribe button, because that is the only way this channel can grow. Now, I hope you liked this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. And until then, thanks again.